Okay, we are live. Good evening. This is Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret: How to Fight CPS and Win. We're going to try to talk about some evidence in CPS cases today, but we also have a guest, Miss Mia Gibson. Hello, Miss Gibson. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Where are you from, Miss Gibson?
I'm from California,
What county?
San Bernardino.
Oh, okay. So you're right in the backyard here.
Yeah,
So you have a case going on over there on Gilbert.
yes.
How long has it been going on?
Um, since December, so almost 6 months.
And what has your experience been like so far?
Um, Tough. It's been really tough. I'm completing everything that I need to do that's needed with these people, and it just seems like they already have their mind up about what they're gonna do.
Explain.
Um, I had a case back in Nevada in about 2019, and my kids were harmed, and they're trying to use that case against me in this new case with my daughter.
In
Um,
what way?
what do you mean? Like,
How are they trying to use it?
all the allegations that they have on me are the allegations from the last case.
There are no new allegations?
No,
It doesn't make sense.
that's what I'm saying. It's troubling to me.
Did you reunify with those children in Nevada?
No, I was taken around the ringer. I did everything that I was supposed to do. Like a couple months after I got out of rehab, they ended up terminating my rights. Um,
Ah.
yeah, so so it's harsh. They're trying to really use that case. They want to they want to bypass reunification, um, because of that. Um, then I just found out a law. I went on the court's website, and it says that based on my failure to reunify with my last case, in California, I guess there's a law where they cannot deny me services based off that prior reunification because her siblings were taken in another state.
You found that law?
Yes.
Did you give it to your attorney?
I was supposed to give it to her today, but I went to go visit my daughter today. I was doing a lot of running around.
Do you have any relatives or friends that could possibly take the child?
Yes, but they're not they're not exploring them. They don't want any of my this same thing happened with my boys. They don't want any of my kids with their families.
Your family members should come forward and file uh, some motions, a de facto motion, um, a 388 petition, that
Okay.
type that type of thing.
Yeah, see, my last case, I didn't know anything about anything. So they felt like, well, she didn't know this, she didn't know that. I didn't know too much as to the motions, or because Nevada, they do it a lot different. So
In what way?
um, it's like for my case, they were really set on getting my children, keeping them in foster care. So all their life they've been in foster care. They didn't explore any family members. I've had family members call. I wanted to do an ICPC because I said my family is out here in California, and can it be? I asked the judge, could it be possible if I can get my boys placed with family in California? Well, they said the judge told me yes, and she said it wouldn't take that long.
Right.
Then the social worker on their end, she said that it's too much paperwork. I don't want to do it.
And you just left it at that?
Well, I kept asking. I still kept bringing it up. Foster home after foster home because my kids were being abused and molested in foster care, and I was trying so hard to get them with family, but it was just not working. It wasn't working.
Well, you don't want to make that same mistake this time, right?
Right. Right.
So you don't have to take notes because this video will be posted on these 8 social media sites forever. So
Okay.
just listen and you can go back and play it, over and over again. This is the first thing you should do. Your relatives and family friends should file a 388 petition with the juvenile court in San Bernardino, asking the judge to order that the children be placed with them. See, I say this a lot, and I don't think people really appreciate this. If you ask the social worker to do something and she refuses to do it, that's not the end of the analysis.
Okay.
You have to go talk to the judge. And it would be best if you and your relatives or family friends file this special type of petition or motion to have the children placed with the relatives.
Can I say one thing? I think I forgot. I did a 388. Okay, so I had 2 attorneys so far on my case, and both of them, they basically told me, "Hey, look, about your last case, we need you to go in there and we need you to admit to all the allegations." So that I was, they basically said I was being non-compliant. So they took themselves off the case. Took themselves off the case. I did file with my first attorney. I filed a 388 on my own, and she got mad at me.
Yeah,
She,
because you probably didn't do it the right way, Mia.
okay.
I mean, if the doctor says, "Hey, I need you to get your open heart surgery done," are you going to do it yourself?
No. No,
Why? Why?
because I don't know about open heart. I don't know anything about in that field.
Really? Do you know anything about legal stuff?
No, no, I don't.
And don't worry, don't feel bad because a lot of people do the same thing you do.
Yeah,
Some people, for whatever reason, Americans believe sometimes that the court is going to do what they believe is correct and just, and I could just file any old stuff in court and I'll win.
yeah, that's the same thing. I was trying to get my boys to my family in Houston. Um, they told my grandma today that she's too old. There was some paperwork they were supposed to send out when the case first started with them, and they basically told me that my grandma was too old to have her great grandkids, and so they're an prospective adoptive home right now, and the permanency worker said that it's best that she keep them in the care of the prospective adoptive home. They don't want to.
Yeah, you know why?
Hmm.
Because the children have been there so long that the social worker is saying that they have a psychological bond, a physical bond, and an
Yeah,
emotional bond with the foster parents.
yeah.
But can I tell you something? And don't be mad at me.
Go ahead.
The reason why that happened is because maybe you let it happen. You didn't get your relatives and yourself to file the motions needed to demand transferring the kids to relatives.
Yeah, and I
You
was
know,
younger, so now I understand. I was younger. It was a lot for me to handle, but I definitely think I should have done more.
so there's still time to correct this situation in the case right now in San Bernardino. All right. So this is what I would do first. I would make a list of 25 people, friends and relatives, that could possibly take the children. Now, I didn't say that would take the children. I said that would possibly take the children. All right. Write down their names, their addresses, their telephone, email if they have it, and their relationship to the child. Not to you, but to the child. And then, if the person isn't a relative, just put family friend because The law says that you can place these children with a family friend or a relative.
Yes.
Now, here's the most important thing. These relatives, they don't have to live in San Bernardino County. They don't even have to live in California. They could be in New York. For that matter, they don't even have to live in the country. We have an international treaty called the Hague Convention, which in part provides for the placement of children in CPS cases in other countries. And I've seen it in my career several times with Mexico. We're so close to the Mexican border.
Yeah.
And I was involved in a case a couple years ago, it seems like now, placement of the children in Switzerland.
Hmm.
So the kids don't even have to live in the United States or the relative or family friend. But you got to get going early. Early. I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I think I've told this story before. This happened in Riverside County. Um, the mother leaves, maybe it was Iowa, somewhere in the Midwest, and she follows a guy she met online to Palm Springs, which is in Riverside County. Okay, there's drugs involved, and other questionable lifestyle, and they end up having a baby. Baby was born with a positive toxicology for, I think it was cocaine. I don't remember, but it was an illegal drug. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the mother has this huge family back in the Midwest, say if it was Iowa. Okay. And her sister was fairly well off. Her sister was married to a guy that was the principal of the local high school, and she herself owned a very successful business. So on the very first day, the detention hearing, the sister flies out and she attends the court proceeding. And at that court proceeding, she tells the judge, I want the child placed with me. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that social workers are generally against this because they get a lot of money from the federal government to do
Yeah.
these cases. But the thing is, the money follows the kid. So if Riverside County is getting money for this kid and the kid is all of a sudden sent back to Iowa, guess where the money goes? Or the lion's share of the money goes to Iowa, not to Riverside County.
Yeah.
And that's almost like losing a huge sale worth, $100,000.
Yes.
Who
Yes.
wants to lose the huge sale?
Nobody.
Right. So then you get social workers not wanting to place children outside the county or the state because they come up with a lot of excuses.
Yeah.
The parents didn't want me to, this and that, but they lose control if the kid goes to Iowa. Where the kid's supposed to go, by the way. Where the kid's supposed to go. Because the child is supposed to be placed with relatives. We're not just looking for the rights of the children, the rights of the parents. We're looking at the rights of the children. Children have a right to be raised by relatives if their
Yeah.
mother and father can't get them back.
Yes.
Well, this couple, they end up doing the case, and the couple flies back home, and they're waiting and waiting and waiting for something called the Interstate Compact for the Placement of Children report to be done by their home state and sent back to California so that the judge will find out, oh, they're approved, we'll send the kid there.
Oh.
But in this particular case, Riverside didn't initiate the ICPC right away. Several months are gone by.
Mm-hmm.
When they finally did, Iowa approved these people. They were great resource.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I mentioned to you, but the husband was the principal of the high school
Yeah.
and and he was a local deacon in the church,
Mm.
right? They had a couple. I think they had a couple of their own kids, right? And the mother had a very successful business.
Mhm.
They could take care of the kid. They didn't need any money from the federal government or California. Well, when the report finally is done and sent back to the social worker, the social worker puts it on her desk and forgets about it. At least that's what I think she testified to.
Mm.
Now, did she really forget about it? Or was she just wanted to keep the kid here? I don't
She's.
know. I don't know. So
I think.
they
I.
never got they never got a lawyer. Let me finish. They never got a lawyer because they, in their heart of hearts, being law-abiding, tax-paying citizens, believed that the social worker would do what was right and place the kid with them. Now, months are going by, and we get to the point where they're about to terminate the mother and the father's parental rights. Now, once that happens under current law, those relatives back in Iowa, they're no longer even relatives. So they don't even have any preferential placement consideration.
Okay.
They call me, Mr. Davis, can you do anything? Well, I can do something, but why did you wait all this time to call me? Well, Mr. Davis, we thought the social worker was honest, would do the right thing, but we now realize we were being played. We go to court. The judge actually grants me a hearing on my 388, and she listened to all the testimony. And I would have to say, in my opinion, the social worker basically admitted that she had the report in time for the child to be placed there, but didn't because the report got lost on her desk and didn't inform the judge of this report. The judge, in a very heartfelt decision, ruled in favor of keeping the kid with the foster parents. And let me tell you why. Although I was on the opposite side, from all indication and all evidence, and from everybody that I talked to, the foster parents were good people. Now, they couldn't have children, right? And they wanted a baby. And they had basically cared for this kid. And I think the kid had special needs because the kid had been born as a drug baby, right? And they had really cared for this kid, brought the kid through, hard times as a baby. The judge ruled, and I'm not saying she was wrong, um, that the child had a significant emotional bond with the foster parents, had a significant psychological bond, and had a significant physical bond. Now, this is not surprising because we as human beings, if somebody's taking care of us as a baby, guess what? We bond with that person. So the judge ruled against me. I actually wanted to pursue the appeal and wanted to pursue a lawsuit against the county of Riverside. And to be honest with you, I don't think they really cared because if we won the lawsuit, the social workers weren't paying the judgment. It was always going to be the county.
Mhm.
So they're playing with the county's money. They don't care. Well, my clients were so distraught and lost so much faith in the judicial system that they went back home and told me that they didn't want to pursue anything anymore. It was just too emotional for them. And it was a great disappointment for them in our judicial system. Because either through the negligence or the willful hiding by the social worker, I'm not sure which it was, they were able to circumvent the law. They were able to keep the child in Riverside with the foster parents while they lied to my clients about, oh, we're going to place the kid there. Oh, we're going to place the kid there. Oh, we're just waiting for the ICPC report. And if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong, but the social worker was telling my clients, "Oh, we're just waiting for the report," when the report had already been sent to her and it was sitting on her desk. And the only reason why my clients knew that is because the lady, the social worker in Iowa, if that was the state, I forget, who did the report told my clients, "Oh, I sent that report weeks ago,
Mm.
weeks ago." But then the social worker here, I think, was telling my clients, "No, haven't received it yet."
Wow.
Now, that's a very easy way to use the law and the bonding of a baby to keep the child away from the foster parents. So I tell people this all the time, and a lot of people don't believe me, but I've seen it so much in my over 30 years of doing this kind of law, so many times. I see it so much that sometimes I get the feeling that people just accept it. It just happens. We're going to screw the relatives and, leave the kid with foster parent. I can't tell you how many times people call me. Maybe 50% of my calls every week are from relatives from all over, the state, all over the country who can't get a child placed with them. Can't get it. So, you know, come early, come often, and you have to kind of give a little nudge to the judge and to the social worker to get the kids placed with foster parent. I won't say when this happened. Happened in the last year, where I've tried to, at a key hearing, put the issue of placing the child from a foster home to a relative home before the court. I can't tell you how many times I've been shot down because of that. And it's clearly, in my humble opinion, that's not the law.
Mhm.
It's not the law. So it doesn't matter what the parents want. It matters what's best for the kid. A lot of people say, well, I didn't place the child with a relative because the mother didn't want it. The mother didn't want it after you convinced the mother not to want it. There's a famous case up in Northern California, this is years ago, where the county was sued because they didn't place the child with a relative, and they lost. Now that county, and I think some other counties do this, at the beginning of the case, they have a special outside unit that independently does a search for relatives, puts them on a spreadsheet, and then they call the relatives. But the tenor of the call is this: "Hey, Mia, you really don't want your niece because it's going to be a lot of work. Who's going to babysit? We're not going to give you any money. Who's going to pay for the the medical needs of the child, of this drug baby? Right? You're going to be under a lot of rules. Can we just put down on the report and tell the judge you're not interested in caring for the kid?" "Yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm not interested under those conditions." And who would be?
Exactly.
But the fact of the matter is, if you're a relative and you get the child, you are given a lot of support, like the same kind of support a foster parent is given.
Mhm.
You're given money to take care of the child. You're given insurance, Medicare to take care of the child's needs. They provide respite care. They can provide daycare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what if the social worker called you up and said, "Hey, Mia, we'd love you to take care of this kid, and this is all the things we're going to do for you"? You'd probably say, "Oh, yeah, okay. Let me take my relative."
Definitely.
Versus the slant the other way,
Yeah.
right? Kind of massaged it so you're going to say no.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rubs you
And then,
wrong.
and then if you say yes, I want the kid, they're going to find other ways to keep the kid away from you. Other
Mhm.
ways.
That's just like with my mom. They told her basically She had a case before, and she ended up reunifying with my sister. Well, they put down on the paperwork that the maternal grandmother isn't fit to have her because of the fact that she failed to reunify with her own child. And my mom has a son, a whole son after. So if that was the case, they would have came after my little brother. Obviously, my mom reunified with my sister because my sister's well over. They made her move out. They told my sister to, in order for you to get your niece, you have to move out of your mom's home. My sister moved out, and still. So yeah, I think that motion's the best way to go now.
So the 388 de facto motion, in some cases, you know, there are issues of, you know, the relative having to do something affirmatively to come fight for the kid. Trent Dancy is asking me on YouTube, did I have court today? Yes, I did, Trent. As a matter of fact, I did. So, Mia, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Okay. So, if your relatives, want some consultation about what to do and how to do it, please have them give me a call.
Okay, I will.
You see that telephone number, 888-888-6582?
Yes.
Then call that 24/7
Okay.
and leave a message. Obviously, we're not there at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
but they can call and get a consultation, and I can hopefully give them some advice, especially on cases here in California,
Yeah.
especially on cases in San Bernardino,
Yeah.
where we practice. We have a lot of cases.
I also have a question. So, I only get 2-hour visits. Um, and the father, um, who really doesn't, he comes to court over the phone. He gets his visitation 4 hours. I'm just not understanding where I went wrong. Why my visits haven't been increased based on my participation in my case plan and things like that.
The reason is because of your prior case.
Okay.
Do they offer you family reunification services or no?
Yes, well, I'm almost finished with it, but this trial that we have on May 31st is basically to admit the allegations or deny, not admit the allegation, deny. They have to find the allegations true against me, and from there they will see if they bypass reunification.
Obviously, that's going to be a very important hearing, right?
Yes.
So, have you talked to your lawyer, come up with a strategy?
Not really. She doesn't really answer me back. The last time we spoke, I had sent over my certificates and stuff for preparing for it. She said we would sit down and we would speak about like the witnesses that we're gonna call, and everything. But as far as that, as- I think I actually did just text her about a visit that they canceled actually, and she never got back to me.
So, what you need to do is you need to send her an email,
Okay.
give her a reminder.
Okay.
Okay, and if don't just call and leave a phone message. It's too easy to say no, I didn't get your message, or no, you didn't call.
No, I did actually email. I emailed everybody that was in that. My parent partner, my social worker, the social worker supervisor. I emailed everyone about the canceled visits and everything. So I do email. I do a lot of emailing with them
Good, good,
because
good. Just out of curiosity, what services did the judge order you to participate in to try to get these kids back? Uh-oh.
hello, my
Okay.
sister is calling me.
Yeah.
She they requested parenting, mental health, substance abuse, and domestic violence.
Okay. And have you completed all of those? I think Mia's sister, somebody's trying to call her on the phone and we lose her. She's technically logged in, but she's oh, there you
My
are.
bad. My sister's blowing me up.
Is she watching the show or something?
Probably.
Tell her to quit calling you until after the show.
Okay.
So, are there any questions you want to ask me to try to help
Uh,
you out, or give you some information about your upcoming court date in San Bernardino?
yes. I actually want to see. Let me see how to put this. Okay, so the last I heard, it's a 2 hour trial, and so I'm trying to see because Nevada did it a little different. I didn't have a trial until like the end, like probably like the end of 2020. Um, so is this trial after this trial is held? Will they take my daughter indefinitely if they prove all the allegations?
They could, but a lot of things can happen, and I would really have to look at your file to tell you what I think is best. The question you ask me is just a really good question. The problem is that the answer that might help you can't be given to you unless I get lucky or unless I review the file and tell
Yeah.
you, you know, we were talking about medical stuff earlier. It's
Mhm.
like, you go to the doctor
Unless I get
and the
lucky
doc
or unless I review the file.
and the doctor says, "Hey Mia, I need to give you an operation and remove your liver," but the doctor never reviews your medical chart,
Mm-hmm.
right? How is the doctor going to figure out what to do without reviewing the medical chart?
It'll be very hard.
Right. And the probability is that if the doctor, he or she, does that, they're going to give you wrong advice.
Yes.
But it's the same thing for a lawyer. People call me up and ask the question, and I can tell you generally, but I can't really tell you specifically
Without looking into the case.
without looking at the file. And so many people don't believe that. I'm just trying to tell them the truth. They
Yeah.
want me to give them just general answers, right? Just
Okay, I have
general.
one right here.
Okay.
Is it a crime to report to record the initial investigation, like when they come out and they inspected the baby, they did that 30-minute walkthrough and they left the baby with me. I took it upon myself to record just in case they did take her. Is that a crime?
Technically, in California, it is.
Okay.
Technically, you can't record someone without their notice and approval. And if you do, it can't be used as in evidence in any type of judicial or administrative proceeding. Now, not only is it a crime, you could go to jail, you could be fined, but there are exceptions. And you say, well, what are the exceptions? One of the exceptions is you're recording someone committing a crime.
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's something interesting. This was 25 years ago. My client tape recorded the social worker saying blah, blah, blah. And then we went to the court, and the social worker said something completely different.
Mm.
And I told the judge, I said, Your Honor, my client has it. And I didn't know the law at that point in time. I said, my
Yeah.
client has the recording, right? And the judge said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll order them to meet again. They meet again. The social worker says, blah, blah, blah. My client secretly records it, writes the report, and says something completely different.
That's the same thing that happened in my petition. That's
My client played the tape. And before the tape could be finished playing, the judge says, I want you guys to meet and confer again. So they go back, and the social worker meets with the client. Now, you would think that the social worker would say something by now, but there was much more going on in the case than we
mm,
realized. The social worker was telling my client the truth, that blah, 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 and I'm going to give you the kid back. The problem was when the social worker went back to the office, his supervisor was saying something completely different and wouldn't let him put what he was telling my client into the report.
That's why you asked for the delivered service logs?
Right.
And that's what I've been trying to do that, so now I was advised to go to court and ask for it because they don't know in San Bernardino, they don't know what that is.
Oh, yes, they do. I've been practicing there, like, almost 30 years. They certainly do.
Yeah, I was like they're like, "We don't know what you mean by delivered service log."
Oh, come on.
I'm like,
They
"Okay."
know. In the entire state of California, every CPS office, every CPS worker knows what delivered service logs are. Okay? Everyone. Because let me tell you something, they're a federal requirement. In
Mhm,
order for your county to get money for your case, one of the things they have to do is the social worker has to keep a diary, which is the delivered service logs, and has to electronically submit them to Washington, D.C., the Department of Health and Human Services,
mm.
because they conduct sporadic audits on these delivered service logs. Now, here's something interesting because I don't know if you know this, but we also sue social workers for civil rights violations.
And that's what I was trying to do. I'm trying to sue, um, the state of Nevada, trying to figure out how to do that.
Well, here's something really interesting. I once did a case where I was the attorney in the CPS court, and I got the delivered service logs. Okay, and they said blah, blah, blah. When the lawsuit happened, I did a request and I asked for the delivered service logs. They didn't connect me with the attorney that did the case, the CPS case, because usually CPS attorneys don't do civil rights and civil rights don't do CPS,
Mhm.
right? But I was doing both. They sent me the delivered service logs. They were completely different.
Wow.
They acted like it was no big deal, but the case settled in my client's favor.
Mm,
They wanted to get rid of that case because they had submitted false evidence. Now, here's the thing that I ask social workers sometimes. Some social workers get it, some social workers don't get it. You know, I asked them, I said, "Oh, your delivered service logs, they're kept on the CMS CWS statewide computer system, right?" "Well, yeah, they are." Right. I said, "Did you know that if you make a change on your delivered service logs tomorrow, after you testify today, that will be recorded by the computer system?" You know,
mhm.
sometimes I get the like, "Oh my god, really?" You know, um, generally I ask a social worker, "Hey, did you tell mother blah blah blah?" "Yes, I did." And then, of course, it's not in the delivered service logs, and they go back the next couple of days and they add it. I won't say that because I have no knowledge of that, but just theoretically speaking, right?
Mhm.
They could add it. Well,
Mhm.
if I get the computer logs, I can show that that was added after the testimony.
Mm.
And obviously, that might include some backdating and falsification of federal records, which is a big no-no, right? For
Mhm.
social workers. So, that's one of the reasons why you wanna get the delivered service logs. Because
Okay.
if you plan to sue someone, and I'm not saying you have a good lawsuit or you don't,
Yeah.
those logs are invaluable. They're invaluable in the CPS case because generally, and I think this might be true for every county in California, if something isn't recorded in the delivered service logs, the rule or the procedure is that it never happened.
Mm.
So you start asking social workers, "Hey, did you do this? Did you do that?" "Yeah, yeah, yeah." "Are they recorded in the delivered service logs?" Some say no, some say yeah. And then, the question becomes, um, were the delivered service logs ever changed, or is it just silent on that issue altogether? And I've had both of those situations come up many times, many times. So get the delivered service logs and read them. Sometimes when you read the delivered service logs and you read the report that they submit to court, It's like you're talking about totally different parents, total different families. Like,
Yeah.
how does that work?
That's what I was also going to ask you, what do I do when I have my evidence of, okay, so for example, the social worker went into court and tried to say, oh, or on the report that she sent to court, oh, we have her scheduled or down for 6 days of missed drug tests, no shows. Thank God I had my receipts because I was able to give them to my attorney, and she was able to be like, Judge, no, she's been doing everything asked of her. I just wouldn't understand why the social worker would just go and lie on court like that. Like that
Really?
blew my
You
mind.
you don't understand that? The
Well,
fact that that
that
blows
the
the fact that that blows your mind means you're approaching this case the wrong way. You have to think the worst
okay,
and prove it.
because
Really, I
I
mean, you do, because
yeah,
they're likely to say anything, to cover themselves.
yeah,
When I used to be an accountant many years ago, over 30 over 37 years ago, and there was a joke in the accounting industry, and the joke was, "Hey, what's 2 plus 2?" Well, the answer is whatever you pay for it to be. Have you ever heard the term pencil whipping?
no,
It means I can beat you down with just writing on a piece of paper,
okay, yeah. Now I get the concept.
right? And you
Yeah,
know how sometimes you're talking to the social worker and you say ABC, and then she writes down CDE, something totally different, but it's a little same because there's a ring of truth in there,
yeah,
but they're able to write something else down.
yeah,
So, do people lie? Yeah, they
yes,
do. Are social worker people? Yeah, they
yeah,
are. Okay. You get it?
yes, I do.
So, write down my phone number. Call me if you want some assistance,
Okay,
consulting, if your relatives want to know what to do and what to file. Because if you don't do anything, the kids ain't going to be placed there. That
okay,
that that's I bet $1 on that
yeah,
for many different reasons. Many different reasons. One time I was involved in a case, this was about 20 years ago, where there was evidence that the social worker placed kids with a foster parent for two reasons. Number one was they wanted to reward foster parents who are always there to help take these kids that need placement. Number two, that the foster parent and the social worker are actually friends or related.
well, that kind of scared me because
Or here's another one that came up in a couple of cases over the years. It was never proven one way or the other, that the social worker took a bribe. You ever hear about people bribing people in any kind of situation?
yes,
Yeah, of course you do. You hear it on the news every day.
yeah, definitely.
What makes you think it's not happening with CPS social workers?
Oh, I suspected it with my boys that there was some type of because she vouched so much for the foster mom in the courtroom, and my kids were only in her home for about 4 months. She
Right.
said they were already bonded. They loved her. They jump over her every time I'm over there. The kids jump on her. They call her mom. They love the foster dad. And I was
Yeah,
just listening to her testimony when she testified. The foster mom testified against me. She's like, "Oh, the mom's not even bonded to her kids, and they don't even know her." And I was just
of
like,
course. Of course. You know, um, you need to get the relatives into court
"Okay,
fast and early,
okay,
and a lot of them. Because most judges, want to follow the law. Most judges say, yeah, a kid should be with relatives. But I've never heard of any relatives,
yeah,
right? I'm doing a case that I'm involved in, and I don't think there was ever a report. of any relatives that could take the kids.
Isn't that what they make you file? They made us, all of our relatives at the first court date, that I think the detention hearing. They made everyone write their names, their addresses down on this paper outside of court, like while we were waiting. It was like they had my sister do it, my daughter's godmom do it, my mom.
You know, a lot of counties do that, and it used to be big in LA County.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's really big in LA County. I do a lot of cases outside LA County now, but yeah, that's the way it used to be done.
yeah, that's what they did to me. I
And the
don't.
kids, you know, they investigate the worker, I mean the relatives, and they place with the relatives right away. Now that seems to me that's the last place they want to do it.
Yeah,
Now, let me tell you this. I don't think that happens in the majority of the cases. The reason is I only get the calls from people when it's not happening, right?
hmm
There's thousands and thousands of people involved in cases. I only get, several hundred calls per month, right? So sometimes there are social workers that are doing the right thing,
hmm
but there are social workers that aren't doing the right thing,
yeah.
and that gives everybody, kind of like a bad name. It's the same as anything else, right?
hmm
Same as anything else. Trent is saying, Mr. Davis, is Miss G on tonight? Trent, Miss G is not on tonight. You don't see her, do you? She's taking the night off, Trent. She's been working very hard. Well, we've come to the end of the show, Mia. Any last questions you want to ask me?
No, I will be having my relatives reach out to you.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. And I wish you luck in your case. And I do want to thank you for being on tonight.
Thank you so much.
All righty. We'll talk to you later, Mia. Bye
All right.
bye. Okay, Alexandria says, where has Miss Cassandra been? Alexandria, I cannot tell you the answer to that question. I think that she's been dealing with her life and, things, and hopefully she will make a decision to come back when she's ready. So Trent says, I meant her prayer show. Or her prayer show, I think is, oh yeah, you know what? You know what? I think you're right. I think it's Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And today's Wednesday, right? Yeah. So I don't know, Trent, if she is going to be, doing the prayer show tonight. I would suspect that she's not, because I did receive a text from her a couple hours ago that led me to believe that she was not going to be on the show today. Carol says, Mr. Davis, is there a time that a lawyer can file a motion or something to have the case dropped or dismissed? Well, in California, the answer is usually no. And that's because of the procedural framework, how the case is set up. Now, there is something called a demur. I forget the name of the case, but it's akin to a demur. You can make a motion to have the case dismissed if their language isn't proper, brings the case and the family into the jurisdiction of the juvenile court. Okay. Oh, you look nice tonight. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mimi says, one more question. Why is the plan adoption? The plan of adoption is the one that's favored by the federal government. And in or about 1989, they changed the law. And what happened was the federal government got tired of paying grandma for 18 years to take care of the baby that was born drug addicted. And grandma would just become the legal guardian. She'd get paid forever. And, the federal government used to foot the bill. But this is what happened. And I think it happened during the Clinton administration. They passed the law where now adoption was favored. And a lot of people think that was because it was what was best for the child. And I have a completely different view. The reason why it was passed is because when somebody adopts a child, they're going to get paid for about 2 years. After that, the county can cut you off, okay, and not pay you anymore. Now compare that with grandma takes the kid and the federal government pays for 18 years because they want legal guardianship. They didn't want adoption. Now they're pushing adoption like, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And they're calling it the best thing for the children. I never bought into that. But that's just my humble opinion. Alexandria says, can I ask another question before you turn off, Mr. Davis? Yes, you can, Alexandria. Says, can my mom, who had my kids for my CPS case, request the delivered service logs? Only a party to the case can request the delivered service logs. And so unless she's a party or she moves to become a party, can she request the delivered service logs? Okay. I've been on many cases where the relative or the caretaker, who's not actually a party, gets to sit in on the hearing, gets to sit in on the trial. That's interesting that I said that because that was an issue that came up recently in a case. But they don't get the delivered service logs unless they actually become a party. And the fact that they're sitting in the courtroom listening to the hearing or to the trial, that's at the discretion of the judge and the other attorneys, whether they want to object to that person being present. Okay, so Alexandria, if you're the mother and you still have your rights, you should be asking for these records. Okay, Carol says thank you. Carol, I'm waiting for you to become my next guest host on one of our CPS case shows. Please give me a call. Let's talk about it. Okay, last question for the evening. Alexandria says they gave her guardianship during the case. Okay, Alexandria, that's not unusual. You didn't lose your parental rights, and you can go back to court to try to get the children back out of legal guardianship. Okay? So if you have questions, give me a call, 888-888-6582. Okay, everyone, thank you for watching this evening. We'll be on tomorrow night at 7 p.m., and we're on Saturdays and Sundays at 9:30 a.m. All right, folks, thank you for watching, and good night.